I am dead. One of the genres that I really like is story-based games, and I also really like it when you're a ghost, as it comes up with unique gameplay options. And before anyone asks in the comments, yes, I'm gonna review Ghost Trick when it comes out. I've already played it twice before, and it's great. I had no problem playing it again, even though it really has no replayability. This game has your character dying from who knows what. You meet up with your dog in the afterlife, who tells you it's your job to find a custodian for the island or the volcano will erupt. The dog tells you that it has 5 different candidates that might be able to do the job. These are 5 different people who have also died and still around the island and not moved on. In order to find them, you're going to need to find 5 different items that were important to them, and then the dog will have the scent to find them. In order to find the items that you're looking for, you're going to need to go inside certain people's brains and see what was important to the person that you're trying to find. You'll do this by twisting memories around by holding the ZR button until it tells you to stop by hitting the ZL button. The game will help you with fine-tuning if you're close enough, which is nice. It was very easy to maneuver through the memories so you can focus on the story itself. Now in this situation, with having to see people's memories, you might think that you're going to go into really deep or tear-jerking situations. And honestly, it's really not at all. It's usually some of the most inane stories about the person you're looking for. They do occasionally try to put a little emotion into the stories, but almost always it falls flat. Because the way this thing is set up, you already know that the first 4 people are not going to agree to the job, or the game would be over. So all the tension is gone. And it kind of makes it so you're just going through the motions in those chapters. If the individual stories were better, this wouldn't have been so tedious. However, most of this game is really average. Now the ending chapter is way better, and it had all the emotional punches you might expect, which makes the other chapters so frustrating that it didn't have it. This game really doesn't tell you how most of these people died, and I think that's a mistake, and it's an important part of the story. Most of the time they're just happy or content spirits, and it would have been more interesting if we saw them dealing with death, or the people around them who cared about them dealing with it. But with the exception of the final story, this just isn't something the game cares about. Now at its core, this is a hidden picture game. In each of the chapters, you're going to need to find 5 objects that belong to the person you're looking for. They're hidden in places with a lot of items. As a ghost, you can phase through objects and see inside them, as well as rotate the objects or areas to get better views. This was used a lot in order to hide the objects from you so you just can't see them straight out. In addition to finding 5 objects, there's also 2 other optional objectives. One is riddles that you would get from a character named Mr. Wistable while looking at certain objects. And this objective could be absolutely missed if you really never looked at some of the objects. And I'm proof of this as I just randomly ran into him in the final chapter. And I was wondering where this sort of challenge was the whole time. This is the kind of challenge that I normally see in a hidden picture game. And I just didn't know why it wasn't here. And it turns out it was just because it was sort of hidden. There was another optional challenge where you have to find certain objects and rotate them in specific ways to unlock the ghost that's inside it. There are quite a few ghosts in each of the chapters to find. You might accidentally solve the puzzle because the game will try and get in the position it wants to get into in order to solve it. I found this challenge too difficult and not really fun to do, but they really wanted to add an optional hard mode, and luckily it has no effect on the ending as far as I could tell. Now, speaking on the ending, without spoiling anything, for a game that goes out of its way to keep the story at least consistent, the ending, while emotional, was also very confusing. I think they were going for a more thought-provoking ending without explaining it, which was frustrating. It was the only part of the game that did this, and while I think I got where they were going with it, it was very out of place for the rest of the title. I Am Dead was okay at best. As a hidden picture game, it had some interesting mechanics, as you can manipulate objects and see through them and find the items that you're looking for. Now this is a very easy game, if you ignore the optional objectives. It will take you about 4 hours to beat. If you're interested in this game, I would definitely wait for it to go on sale. It's not a bad game, but it feels like one that could have been so much better if they added in more emotions to the memories that you experience. If you like hidden picture games, this will be a very unique take on this, but I would still wait for it to go on sale.